All right, guys, what is going on? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. However you are consuming this podcast, I do appreciate you guys very, very much. On the podcast side, this is our Tuesday episode. On the video side, we are actually live here at my spot, man. Imperial Pizza, 1035 Abbott Road in the heart of South Buffalo. And I am joined today by a special guest, a long overdue, first-time guest ever on this show, WUFO Sports Director, Buffalo Bills reporter, my guy, Muki Hawkins, man. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
What's up, my guy?
It's finally to have you, man.
I know.
I'm glad to get together. So this is
overdue.
Long overdue.
Long overdue.
We're going to talk some Buffalo Bills takeaways. The good, which was a lot. The bad, a couple. The ugly, an injury. We'll get to all that. Both of us got our eyes right now live on Twitter because the NFL trade deadline is less than 24 hours away. There's been a couple things going on. Teron Johnson, some money moving around. So who knows? Maybe while we're on the show, something will go down. So we'll certainly stay tuned to that. Before we get to that, though, is this your first time here in this location here in South Buffalo?
No, this is not my first time actually being here, but it's first time doing the show.
All right. Well, what did you think of the wings? So we had 15 medium, we had 15 ciabattas, we had a slice before that. This is one of my go-to spots, man. Consistency for me is key with good places, and one of my favorite things about Imperial Pizza is that this is like a model of consistency. When we sat there, whatever you thought of those wings tonight, if you come here the next week and next week after, you're going to feel the same way.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? You go to a lot of places, dude, and man, one time you'll go there and then the wings are the bomb, and then you're like, "Yo, Pat, we got to go try this place," and then you'll say, you'll talk to me. I'm like, "All right, we'll go there, Mook," and then next time we go there, they're not the same.
They're not the same, right?
Right. So
quality.
Huh?
You know what I mean? You got to appreciate the quality.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, that's the first time I had the ciabattas medium.
Yeah.
I highly recommend the ciabattas medium.
They're really good.
That was really good.
Nice little.
You don't even need no blue cheese with it, but with the blue cheese is still great.
We were talking over dinner here before the show, too, about how so many players come here and they have to learn almost, if you're going to be in Buffalo, it's almost like you have to learn how to like blue cheese.
Yeah, that comes with the being drafted here in Buffalo. They just draft you, give you the card and a little cup of blue cheese and say, deal with it, figure it out.
Let's get into some thoughts from a big Buffalo Bills victory, 28-21 over the Kansas City Chiefs. This is becoming kind of an annual tradition right now. The Bills beat them in the regular season. Hopefully another one in January doesn't continue, but that's neither here nor there. A good team win. I thought this was their most balanced, complete performance of the season, especially when you factor in who they were playing. Of course, unfortunately, it comes at a loss with a you know what? A couple weeks ago, if you would have told me, Mook, Michael Hoyt being injured would be such a big blow, I would have been like, really? I would have been like, really? You would consider Michael Hoyt, a guy who hasn't even played the first 6 games, and I know he's a pretty nice player, but him being down is a big blow. It's a big blow, though.
It's a big blow. I was saying that last night. I was like, well, damn. This guy just in 2 weeks has just really been a great spark in this defensive front. I mean, the production that he was able to do in just 2 games just really catapulted this defensive front. And now it's like, wow, how do we, like you mentioned, how are we going to replace this guy?
Energy. He brought it. It felt the energy. It was really cool yesterday, too, watching it on the broadcast on TV. They were talking about how the cart came out, but he wouldn't get in it.
He wouldn't get in it.
Stay there, be with his teammates. Just a really cool, high-energy guy. So, anyway, that's a big loss. We'll get to that. Let's start here. Obviously, you were at the game. You covered the game. You're in the press box. What was the vibe like in the stadium yesterday? Again, you were there. I was watching it on TV.
The vibes is always good, especially when Kansas City comes to town, right? Because, the thing about Kansas City, it elevates everything, right? It definitely is. Pat Mahomes is always going to elevate Josh Allen, right? And Kansas City is always going to elevate this city and this fan base because they are the standard, right? Every year, these guys are the standard. So when you got the standard walking into your backyard, Man, you already know the atmosphere is going to be electric. Semi-prime time at 4:30, but, it was definitely electric ball game, and it was worth the hype every time.
I'll say this, too. You said it, a measuring stick. Did you look, every year is a measuring stick game. I feel like it's a measuring stick game for both teams every year. It's one of the biggest games in the entire league on the schedule every year. But do you feel that this game, maybe more than the others, even though it's just a regular season game, we know how it goes, but do you feel that based on the fact that, the Bills came into the game 5-2, but there are a lot of question marks about this team. Some of their victories, against significantly lesser opponents, that two-game stretch where they just looked awful against New England, and especially in Atlanta, and then you beat Carolina, but it's like, but it was Andy Dalton, the backup quarterback, and which, by the way, looked a lot better next week when they go and they beat Green Bay on the road. NFL's so goddamn crazy, dude. But anyway, my point was, did you feel like maybe more than recent years, this was even a bigger measuring stick game? Like, this was going to be the week where you learn who the Buffalo Bills are. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you look at the spectrums on how the Bills were downward spiraling, and then all of a sudden Kansas City was just climbing. Like, the past 3 weeks, everybody was saying that Kansas City was back, and they're just such a juggernaut. They're putting up 30 points a game. And here it is. This Bills team is on a downward slope. They're losing to New England, who many people thought that wasn't going to be any type of competition in the division. And then the brain fart in Atlanta was just like, wow, on national TV. That's what it was. It was everybody saw that ass whooping on Monday night, and it created some doubt with a lot of people.
And New England the week before was a primetime home loss, and we're not used to seeing the Bills lose in primetime, and we're not used to seeing the Bills not play well in primetime, and we got both of them. And in fairness, too, I would say, Kansas City, the hype about them coming into this game was warranted. I mean, they had scored like 28 points in 5 straight games. Yeah. Their defense had only given up 7 points in the last 2 games combined coming into this game. So I felt like the Bills had a lot to prove. And what I've come to learn about this team, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree with this, Mook, and you're around them all the time too, this team seems to me to be at their best when people kind of count them out. Like, they were a home underdog, which to me, I did not think they should be a home underdog. And I'm not saying that as a Bills fan. I'm not saying that as a homer. Just legitimately, this team has had so many big games at home. They've been so successful at home. They played so well against this team in the regular season. It was surprising to me that they were the home underdogs. But they were the home underdogs. People were picking the Chiefs like crazy. It seems, Josh Allen, people are starting to get down on Josh Allen with questioning his decision-making. Hell, some people even questioning his commitment right now and him, being all in and invested with everything going on.
That's crazy.
It is. It's absolutely ridiculous. But do you agree with that? It's like this team just seems to routinely play their best when people don't believe in them. Conversely, sometimes they start to read their own headlines maybe a little too much, and that's when things kind of go south a little bit.
Yeah, McDermott can kind of keep it a little even keel. He doesn't want, the team to really get all that type of attention. He likes the underdog mentality because that's what he is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I always said it. I mean, even when, during COVID, when they was really starting to, come into their own, right? It seemed like you mentioned, they played a little bit more better while they were hunting instead of being the hunted. They don't know how to play when you're the hunted.
Right.
You know what I mean? They rather go out and hunt. They play more better when they're out hunting, when the expectation of them succeeding, whatever the case may be, isn't that high. That spotlight on them to be this Super Bowl talent, I don't know if it breeds a different type of pressure. You know what I mean? And I think they're more better off being hunters than being a huntee. Like when you look at teams, when you look at the Buffalo Bills teams of the old, right? They were the hunted. They knew how to play being the hunted. You know what I mean? They matched that intensity being the hunted. This Bills team, I don't think they have that yet.
Okay.
And it shows. When you're going to get the team's best every week, even though they haven't won a game. You playing them in their backyard, like you said, they're the measuring stick with everybody in the league. So you're going to get their best, and they're going to play like they ain't got nothing to lose every time. And the Bills fall into their flaws at the wrong time, and it cost them.
That's a great point. I would venture to say, I remember before the New England game on Sunday night a couple weeks ago, I was like, You know, if you take the Bills fandom away from this and you look at it objectively, I said, what a great opportunity this is for the Patriots to come into Buffalo. You know, you want to talk, the Bills have been the standard, especially in this division for the last 5 years. What an awesome opportunity for a young quarterback and this team to come into Buffalo and show the world what they are. And they did that.
Yeah.
Atlanta probably too, to your point. You're going to get teams, when you are the best or among the best teams in the league, you're going to consistently get their best shot. Let me ask you this, because you're in the locker room, you're around the players a lot. Did you get a sense that this game was more than just one of 17, that this was just more than another regular season matchup against Kansas City?
I'm going to say this. The Bills understood the assignment.
Yeah.
They played Kansas City long enough to understand the assignment.
Yeah.
And with the situation being that the Bills is, coming off this losing streak, just really regaining, what they regained in the Carolina and where Kansas City was coming into its own into the season, Bills definitely better had showed up. And I know Coach McDermott was going to get those guys ready to play because no matter what the records are, this is still a game for that number one spot.
Yeah.
When it all pans out, when the dust settles, we all know that the Bills in Kansas City is going to be there at the end. So you got to have that W during the regular season to have that advantage because when you look at it now, Kansas City is going to beat a lot of good teams in the AFC that's going to bode well to the Bills' advantage because they got the win against them. You know what I mean? So he's going to do a good job. I think he did. They understood the assignment to the point where they made Kansas City look a little basic yesterday.
Which surprises me. You're right. I agree with you. That's a great take. And it surprises me. That's not what I would have counted on. Almost a little, Mahomes looked flustered at times. Andy Reid kicked a field goal from the 1 yard line on the last play before the half. That's not something I would expect to see from the Chiefs. It was almost like they lacked confidence to get a yard. They wanted 3 points going into the locker room. That really surprised me. And I'll tell you what, I know that it didn't work out a couple of years ago where the Bills had home field against Kansas City, and Kansas City still came in. They won by a field goal. But you go back to that game, and there were so many other factors. The injuries. Bernard and Benford didn't play in that game. A.J. Klein came off the couch, and he was the middle linebacker. You remember that wasn't fun. Trent Sherfield drops 2 long passes. Stephon drops a long pass. Tyler Bass misses a field goal. So many things went wrong for them to lose by a field goal. But you want to play, if you're going to play the Chiefs in January, you want it to be in Orchard Park.
Yes.
So this was big for both teams. The Chiefs now have 4 losses, and they lost to the Bills. So essentially, they're 3 games behind the Bills right now, man.
Yeah.
So the Bills having to go to Arrowhead yet again is not looking, knock on wood right now, very likely.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I'm just going to say, I'm speaking into existence now. There won't be no Arrowhead playoff for the Bills.
Well, the one thing, before we get into the Bills stuff, I will say this about the Chiefs too, dude, is don't look now, but they've got 4 losses, and I was looking at their schedule earlier today, dude. They still play Denver twice.
Yeah.
They still play the Chargers. They still play the Colts, and they still play at Dallas, which is not it's not a lock. It's not a game. You never know.
Right.
Dallas is explosive that you might get on any given day. You're talking 7. You get 7 losses, especially if you get 8. You might not even make the. I'm not saying the Chiefs ain't making the playoffs, but I'm just telling you the road is not easy. I just laid out some games that they could lose if they're not playing well.
And remember, Kansas City is still the hunted now.
Yes.
They're the reigning AFC champs, so you're going to get a team's best still. The Kansas Cities and the Buffalo Bills of the world are going to get a team's best no matter what their record is.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so let's get back to you're at the stadium. Like you said, it felt like a Bills-Chiefs game. The vibes are high. The energy is there. But and the Bills were just playing so well. We're going to get to a lot of takeaways from that. But there was that 2-play stretch. And I'm sitting home, and again, I'm watching with my wife, and I'm pacing. I always do when I watch the games. And it's 3rd and 17. I'm like, all right, let's go. Michael Hoyt, that's the play on 3rd and 17 where, and the film's out there now, he just literally took one, half step. He lunges off, and he tears his Achilles. That's on 3rd and 17. Then the very next play is 4th and 17. And by the way, Kansas City's down 15 at the time.
Yeah.
It's 4th and 17. Joey Bosa, who we'll talk about, played a great game, but he made a bad mistake there and then turned around. He got fooled. He thought it was a screen was coming, and he had a free shot at Mahomes. Mahomes was dead. Doesn't take it, and Mahomes gets to survey the field. Terrell Bernard gets lost a little bit in coverage, and Rashid Rice comes all the way across, converts for 20-some yards or whatever on 4th and 17. A couple plays later, Kansas City scores a touchdown, and they get the 2-point conversion.
Right.
It's a 7-point game. I said the vibes were great at the stadium. Did the mood change after that? Like, you could say, I had nervous energy. I was like, oh, my God, here it comes. Did you kind of get a sense that that was the feeling at the stadium live?
I developed a few more gray dreads. Just going through the motions right there in that situation. Like, first of all, you didn't even have to call a timeout.
Yeah.
The play was called, and Mahomes was already scrambling into rest, and they would have got off the field, but Coach called a timeout, and we know Coach always does that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, March Madness, right? When the game is on the line at the end and you got to do that inbound play and you got that extra timeout. So let's go see what the inbound play is going to look like. Then we're going to call a timeout and try to counter that. But Kansas City didn't do that. Yeah. You just called a timeout, at the last second, gave them time to put in their best play on 4th down. And we'll get into 4th down play in a minute too. But you allowed Kansas City to put the right play out there on the field, and it is. And I say this all the time about the Bills. They play so well against Kansas City on 1st and 2nd down to make it look so easy on 3rd and 4th down. Yeah. It just let you know that this guy understands what you do scheme-wise. Yeah. So he has plays set up based on your scheme. Yeah. And the Joey Bosa, I think Bosa was rushing, but he saw that tight end release off of him, so he tried to drop back to see if Mahomes was going to check release down to him instead of getting up the field, creating the pressure. That was a design rollout. If you see how Mahomes designed, like how he rolled out, that was designed to buy Rashid Rice time to do the deep dig all the way across the field. Now, we know Mahomes can make any throw on the field, right? So why not drift 5 more yards back to create some more space so I can fire that play in there? And it really worked towards Terrell Bernard. Bernard was out of his area. He was clearly out of pocket, Bills fans. He owe everybody one push-up, for that. Eyes in the wrong place. He was in completely somebody else's zone. If you stay where you are, you got an interception because Rashid Rice is going to cross right to you. So I'm quite sure he was hitting his head on the tape when he saw that.
I think Terrell owes a couple push-ups. We'll get to that. All right, so that aside, though. So that was, again, tense, nervous energy. Fortunately, Buffalo, they hold on. They win. They moved the chains a couple times. They all but killed the clock. A couple of clutch plays. The 3rd down, at Josh Allen and James Cook through the air. Rollout play, it works. Hey, that was good to see anyway. So the Bills hold on. They win. That's ultimately what matters. I want to talk about the defense. So we got Hoyt out of the way. We got the 4th down thing out of the way. So many good things that they did in this football game. And I look at these stats, and again, this was so many years, in recent years, the Chiefs have come in and are kind of limping a little bit on offense. Like, the defense has been carrying them. They get lucky. They've missed field goal, blocked field goal. They just find ways to win games because that's what great teams do. But this year's Chiefs team, like I said, they just came in hot. They were, especially offensively, they've been a juggernaut. We use that word all the time, juggernaut. They are a juggernaut.
They're a juggernaut.
Yeah, they are a legit
juggernaut. You got
juggernaut.
Andy Reid out there. He can draw it up with the best of them, so of course.
But the Bills held them to 3 for 13 on 3rd downs in this football game. Patrick Mahomes got sacked 3 times. Patrick Mahomes got hit 14 times. A few of them he almost got hit into oblivion. Yeah. A.J. Epinesa on the sidelines. That was really, really cool.
Shout out to you, AJ.
Yeah, and props to the refs. Shout out to the refs for not throwing a roughing the penalty.
Right. Letting them play.
The passer play. Yeah, letting them play a lot this game. Let's give them some credit for that. And Patrick Mahomes, under 50%, first time in his entire football career, man. This defense just really came to play. Where do you want to start? Because there's a lot of good things to talk about. Let's start in the secondary, and let's start with the rookie. Let's start with the kid, Max Hairston. The interception, look, it's 3rd and 17. It was kind of an arm punt anyway. I'm still glad he got the interception. Yeah. Get the mind right. But his reps, my favorite rep of the entire game to watch on the broadcast, and when I was watching some All-22 today, it was just an incomplete pass. And that's him turning. You know what I'm talking about. Xavier Worthy on a streak. And Max Hairston's turning around, and he's running step for step. That is exquisite. That is getting the best wings that you could possibly get when you're starving and enjoying them, because this is what you've been waiting for. much love to Trey White, okay? Trey White has not been nearly as bad as some people want to make him out to be, okay? But he's not Max Hairston. This is why you go get a guy in the first round. We've been waiting all summer for that. For that rep, for that play. He changes the secondary, doesn't he?
Oh, he absolutely changes the secondary. He's a guy that can cover any speed guy that the other offense possesses. And he has the, he's the best of both worlds, right? Because now he knows how to play zone with that speed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you saw that drop into coverage. He was at the right spot, on that 3rd and 17 for that pick. Playing zone was able to help out and make that pick. But, it was always good to see 4-2 versus 4-2. Now, if that was a combine simulcast, we'll see who really was winning right there on that play. But we know Mad Max did win because he was step for step with a knee brace on, by the way, against one of the the fastest guy in the NFL, the fastest offensive weapon in the NFL, and Xavier Worthy.
It's one thing to watch a guy at a combine in his shorts fly. It's another thing to see it in game speed with that uniform on. And he has it. And he's one of those guys. We talked about Hoyt. Max Hairston is another one. I just feel an influx of energy, juice, and juice out there. And let's not forget about last week as well. It wasn't a pass or made it, in terms of an incompletion or a breakup. It was that hit.
Yeah, come up and support the run.
It was Horn. He knocked him out of the game. Yeah, so this guy is a willing, aggressive tackler who can fly and make plays on the ball. If you're not excited about what you see from him, folks, what are we doing here? And I'm going to be fair too. Give Sean McDermott some credit. I like that he's getting worked in and that they're not trying to put too much on him. Hey, go be the savior of the secondary. Our secondary has struggled some. You're going to start. You're going to play 100% of the snaps, and you're going to be the savior of the secondary. I like the fact, and I do think he will get to that point. But right now, it's kind of like a 50-50. Like him and Trey played pretty much the same amount of snaps.
Yeah.
Do you like the way that they're going about doing that now?
Yes, absolutely. You got to do it by committee, especially because you're dealing with so many injuries, right? So you don't have the cap money to go bring a guy in like a Justin Simmons that everybody would probably say, hey, go get that guy. But how would you do it by committee? In these past 2 games, I see Coach McDermott. You see the experience kicks in, and that's what's really been lacking. When you look at the offense and the defense, only thing that's probably is the flaw is the experience between the play callers.
Yeah.
You look at Brady. He's only been a play caller for 3 years between here and Carolina.
Yeah.
When you look at Babbage, this is really his first full year, right?
Yeah.
And these guys are going up against seasoned veteran coordinators that are head coaches.
Yeah.
When you look at the New England game, you got 3 head coaches over there. You got Maroney Baloney over there on the O-line, and then you got, McDaniels and Vrabel. This is what, our coordinators are going up against. Seasoned, experienced guys, Super Bowl caliber coaches, right? Then you got Atlanta, Raheem Morris. He's been a head coach twice, but we already know he's a defensive guru.
Right. Yeah.
So you're going up against these guys. And in those instances, and I asked being this, when you brought Dorsey in, how does an offensive coordinator help your ascending quarterback evolve into the quarterback he needs to be when the quarterback has more experience than the play caller?
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to, when you're going up against a guy like Spags, what does Spags like to do in certain situations? And, going into this season, first thing I asked Josh, what did he learn from that AFC Championship game? And he said tendencies, understanding what guys like to run in certain situations. There's no way that a guy blitzes corner in his safety on 4th and 5 to go to the Super Bowl if he don't know 1,000% what your guys is doing right there.
Right.
And that was a ballsy call. Nobody in the world has ever did that.
Look brilliant.
And that's the experience. And that's the experience right there. And then it always helps when you don't have James Cook on the field neither.
That is true. We'll get to James in a second. The other guy, Cole Bishop, I'll tell you what, I thought this was the game for him. This was the game where he really grew by leaps and bounds. I know he had that really nice interception against the Saints where he went from one hash to the other side of the field, but that was a play. That was a rep. He also struggled in that game as well. He got beat on some plays. He was good in this game. 4 pass breakups he had in this game. Crushed Travis Kelce, let him know he's there. Look, he was the way I saw it, even on the broadcast, just the way he's communicating. I'm sure Jordan Poyer being out there, is helping him too, learn mentorship, stuff like that. But this is the Cole Bishop that we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lesson, and one that, and I'm going to include myself, all right? I'm not going to say I'm above this. I am a knee-jerk, overreactionary type guy. I'm sure I've said Cole Bishop has sucked on this show at some point this season. I know I have, as a matter of fact. It's a lesson to me and to a lot of people that, hey, sometimes guys need an opportunity and time to grow.
Yeah.
It doesn't come overnight. Deion Walker looks like an overnight sensation. There's not a lot of Deion Walkers out there. More often than not, young players take time to develop. And it kind of has me, going forward, I'm like, all right, well, Landon Jackson's not doing anything this year. That doesn't mean he won't do anything in the future. Dwayne Carter's going in the year 2, and unfortunately he got hurt. I'm not out on Dwayne Carter by any means. You know what I mean? He comes back next year healthy. He's going to learn more. He's going to have time. These young picks, these hype. Keon Coleman is another one. I'm not ready to throw in the towel on Keon Coleman right now. That's more of a question of fit than anything, I feel like. But anyway, it's these young guys. They don't always shine right away, but you got to give them an opportunity to grow. And I kind of feel like that's what's happening with Cole Bishop. He looks better to me every single week, man. And you said it during dinner. We've been spoiled when it comes to that position,
spoiled,
too.
Man. We've definitely been spoiled. When you got 2 All-Pros there, you definitely do get spoiled. And, how do you transition without those guys, right?
Yeah.
They've been so valuable to you on that back end and making sure everybody is right on the front end, because we know the calls is everything, from the front end to the back end. If you get the call is wrong, the entire defense is wrong. So those guys has been able to do that. Poyer and High have been able to basically spearhead that for the past 7 years. And we all know that this is a transition for, this Coach McDermott staff, because he normally don't rock with the younger guys, right?
Right,
the younger guys don't play.
Surprised.
They sit and they wait. Now, and if you so happens to win your battle and win the spot, you win the spot, right? But 9 times out of 10, when you look at it, you got to develop. That's why you have to develop, right? A guy went in the 3rd round for a reason, right? So let's play that kid to his strong suits until we can develop him into the receiver he needs to be, right? Like I said, receiver, right? Keon Coleman.
Yep.
Why we're not using Keon Coleman just as a red zone specialist? Forget everything else. Just throw it up to Keon when you get to the 30-yard line. Take your shot with Keon Coleman. Play him to his strong suit, and then develop his route running, develop the route tree and stuff like that. Like you mentioned, you're throwing him into the fire too early, and that's not his thing. He's not going to get separation. You knew that at the combine running a 4.6. He's not going to get separation. So why are we expecting him to get separation when we know he can't, right? So keep him to a strong suit. We don't have a red zone target. We don't have a red zone threat. Yeah. He has a 40-inch vertical. He's 6'4.5". Why not throw it up so, he can high point the ball when we inside the 30 and James Cook is killing you in the run game, 6-7 yards a crack. Let's play fake that. Let's go up top one time. Max protect, go up top. Keon, this is your play right here. Yeah. All right? You figure Shakir got his play, right? Kincaid has his play. The outside receivers are kind of like on the outside looking in, if you ask me.
Very much on the outside looking
in. But to say your point with Poyer, huge bringing Poyer. When he came back, I asked Poyer, I said, when did it really click for you? Because obviously Bishop was struggling in the beginning of the season, throwing in the fire too early, and now he don't have no veteran around him. Rap can't teach him how a Poyer or High would do, right? High came back to, nurture Rap last year, so you bring Poyer back. But the difference is Poyer played, and being on the field with Poyer helped him understand how to play the position, and now it takes the load off of him. Now I got this veteran here that's going to help me make the calls or make sure that everybody is in his right spot. And you're seeing the better Cole Bishop playing now. I think he's playing a little bit more free instead of trying to trying hard not to make the mistakes and make the mistakes, but just playing free, playing in the box, roaming around, making plays. So you're definitely seeing the better Cole Bishop because of the knowledge of a Jordan Poyer.
Boy, you almost kind of sound like a football coach, Mookie. If I didn't know any better, I would think you might have been doing some football coaching throughout your life there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah, you're right. And I do think Jordan Poyer being back and on the field has really benefited Cole Bishop. Now, of course, and I will give also quickly here. Sean McDermott, I feel like I'm giving Sean McDermott a lot of credit on this episode. I'm going to give him some more here because I thought during the bye, I'm like, all right, Trey starting, Poyer starting, and we might see Max Hairston at some point.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he's active and he plays, and then he's playing almost half the snaps. I was like, holy shit, I did not expect that.
Me neither.
So I'm pleasantly surprised about that. I'm pleasantly surprised that Jordan Hancock is getting as much run, which makes a lot of sense. You're keeping Poyer fresh, too, and there's just certain situations where Hancock's speed is more valuable, especially. So I love the way that Sean is working these guys in without, going too much.
Yes.
But I'll say this, too, and last thing before with the defense. Secondary play has been a lot better the last couple of weeks, and it's by no coincidence that the pass rush matters.
Yes.
Yes,
they get
like, hey,
good blend.
when you're dropping Mahomes 3 times, when you're hitting him 14 times, your secondary is bound to look better.
Yes.
Joey Bosa and Groot especially, they have been really, really good lately. This game specifically against the Chiefs. Bosa had a sack, 7 pressures, 4 hits. He was making plays all over the place. He played great, minus the 4th to 17, the brain fart. Minus that play, Joey Bosa was a beast.
Yes.
This is the guy you gave $2.5 million to. This is the guy you need to see in January too, okay? Let's just say that. Greg Rizzo, I thought, had a very slow start to this season. He really was not playing good football. He was playing okay football. He was not playing, we just invested a lot of money in you because we believe in you type football. Well, he is now.
Yeah.
He's becoming a force week after week. He had a half a sack, but I think he had like 8 or 9 pressures, 4 or 5 hits. He's been really, really good. And A.J. Epinesa has done some good things. His pass rush productivity has been off the chain this season. But that defensive edge group right now, that's contributing a lot to the secondary success that we saw on Sunday as well, right?
Yeah, and when you got that right mixed, right, when you got that good rotation and then you have that good mix of rush and coverage because you got the right personnel out there, that's when it really becomes poetry in motion, right? Yeah. Forget, he got to play because he because of his contract. All right, you got the good mix out there, and then when Larry O and Michael Hoyt came, it gave that defensive line it gave it a boost. It kind of helped Deion Walker. It helped Ed Oliver. Then once you got that pressure coming like that, and then you got the necessary pieces on the back end with Harrison, who could run with anybody. Defenses, they can play man. The Bills can play man with Harrison out there. They couldn't play man, without Harrison being out there.
Yeah,
and that was the element of the defense. You need a guy that could play man and run with, to make that quarterback hold the ball just a second longer till that rush get there, right? So you see a perfect blend of rush and coverage with the younger guys being out there, because I think the younger guys, I want to say that the older guys ain't hungry, but the younger guys are playing with a little bit more something to prove out there. And I kind of like it. I like that mentality. So, it's good to see Hancock out there on passing downs. It's good to see the experience and Poyer being out there on first and second down, because they need that. And these guys are not small guys. You got Hancock, who's 6'1", 200, runs a 4.5, coming from a traditional program at Ohio State. Yeah. So I love having an Ohio State guy back there. And how about Cam Lewis, a guy that's been in the system that they converted into a safety. Never played safety in his life until that Minnesota game. And we all know how it happened in that game, but I thought he played well until that one play. But Cam Lewis was playing quite well at safety back there when they went to a 2-safety look there. So you got to give Coach McDermott a lot of credit, because now you're starting to see him evolve as a coach. You know what I mean? Because you've never seen him put these meaning guys in as far as having a rotation, a situational rotation that makes big dividends for you out there on defense, and it shows. So you definitely got to give Coach McDermott and staff a lot of credit.
Live here at Imperial Pizza, 1035 Abbott Road in South Buffalo. I'm with WUFO Sports Director, Buffalo Bills beat reporter, Muki Hawkins. It's about the defense. Before we get to the offense, you brought up something before I took a quick break here that shame on me for not bringing it up. When I watched the film, I concluded, I put out a tweet on Monday afternoon. I said my unsung hero of this game was Cam Lewis. He played really good. He played really good. Look, I'm not going to sit there. I know Teron Johnson has not had the season that he's had in the past. He's regressed a little bit, and maybe he's been banged up too. Who the hell knows anymore with these guys? It feels like nobody's healthy. I'll say this. I still Would rather have Teron Johnson out there in January because we've seen it, man. He's an impactful guy, even if he's not playing his best right now. That said, this game, Cam Lewis did not make me miss Teron Johnson in this specific game, and I would not have thought that before the game. I thought there's going to be a problem. Those 3 receivers, that means Cam Lewis is going to be responsible for one of them, and that's going to be a problem. Well, guess what? It was not a problem.
No.
So big tip of the cap. Cam Lewis had a great game. Let's switch sides. We've given Sean McDermott a lot of credit because he's kind of the de facto defensive coordinator as well. Now, I mean, they're sharing play calls, I guess, whatever. Joe Brady, a lot of he's the guy now, he's the low-hanging fruit. Like when things go bad, and some of it's deserved, a lot of it's deserved at times, but Joe Brady is the low-hanging fruit to blame everything on when things are going bad. And I'll give him credit for this on Sunday. The Bills did 2 things in this game that they hadn't really done much of this season. One of them they didn't do at all that I'm going to want to make sure I give them credit for. Number one, we're so worried about receivers. And make no mistake about it, they need to go get another receiver, okay? But getting the tight ends involved the way they did. They had 123 yards receiving in the first half of this football game. Kansas City felt like it looked like they weren't ready for that. That's one. And number 2, on their 3rd and 4 touchdowns, 2 of their 4 touchdowns, they completed a play down the field, a chunk play, and they went into hurry-up offense. They went into up-tempo mode, did not get the Chiefs an opportunity to get bigger and get guys in and out. They ran on basically a hurry-up, no huddle, and they scored 2 touchdowns. Ty Johnson had one of the easiest touchdown runs he'll have in his career because Kansas City's defense wasn't what it wanted to be, and then Josh Allen got near the goal line, and then ultimately they did the tush push for a touchdown. So let's start there. I thought this was a good game for Joe Brady. James Cook had 27 carries, too. I mean, at the end of the game, he kind of got a lot of carries as they were protecting the lead. But there were a couple times he wasn't on the field, and I don't like that, and I know you don't like that either. You don't like that either. But all in all, I felt like he did a pretty good job, minus a couple things here and there we'd like to see different. But all in all, I thought Joe Brady did a good job in terms of the game plan, especially, like I said, with the tight ends and the hurry-up following big plays.
Yeah, I think that this game here was probably the most games we really saw a balanced attack other than week 1. I think week 1 was kind of forced because of the situation. They had no choice but to claw back into the game. But this one, you've seen the offense really control and dictate Kansas City's defense for the first time. And, I thought he got Josh Allen going early, and that was the key because that was the key thing. I think the toughest part for this offense was transitioning from an MVP quarterback to an ascending all-star running back in James Cook. And I think that transition kind of got things off rhythm, if you want to say it in so many terms, right? You got to give James Cook the ball. He gives you the best chance to win other than Josh Allen. Josh Allen, you don't have to put your cape on all the time because we need you, big fella, for the long haul. And you can hand this ball off to this running back and take the pressure off for you. But it kind of got Josh out of the rhythm because now when it's time to throw, you're throwing sideways, you're throwing bubble screens. You got to get Josh Allen comfortable in the rhythm, throwing upfield in coverage. That's the only way you're going to get a rhythm. And I thought that he did a good mixture of that, throwing quick game and getting up the field, taking some shots, getting Josh in the rhythm. I didn't look at the stats until like midway in the 3rd quarter. I was like, okay, let me look at these damn stats. And I'm looking at like, whoa, holy cow, Josh Allen, you performing surgery right now. So
3 incompletions, and one of them was a drop by Jackson Hawes. One of them was a throwaway too when he was scrambling. You know what? By the way, I think people must like you or something. We're well over 2,000 people here watching this on the live side. So shout out to everybody who's been checking in, watching us live on the video side. My wife had a good comment on James Cook. She made it, I don't know, maybe she wasn't joking, but she's just, how you go, the sex is great, but she goes, sex is great, but have you ever seen James Cook vision in the open field? Let's talk about James Cook, man, because I'm going to tell you what, this guy, and I'm proud to say I was never in the camp of these ridiculous takes, but there were a lot of takes this summer. I saw a lot of,
get rid of him, right?
Trade him. We got Ray Davis. We got Ty Johnson. We got the MVP quarterback. Anybody can be a good running back in this system. Maybe on some levels that can be true, but not James Cook level. This dude has taken, if there's one player on this team that has went from a good player to a legit superstar, it is James Cook right now. He's second in the NFL in rushing, and that's only because he's played one less game than Jonathan Taylor. As we speak right now, he is on pace for 1,842 rushing yards this season, which would be the second most in franchise history. Only O.J. Simpson's 2003 yard season would be it. This guy is almost going into a Kansas City Chiefs game. Did you ever envision where you thought you would think, well, the Chiefs are going to try to take James Cook away and make Josh Allen beat them? Like, what? But that's almost
that's the crazy.
That's feeling like that now.
And then that's what I was saying all week. I was like, wow. I said, I know Spags is going to load the box. And the most craziest thing is they're going to try to force Josh Allen to beat him with his arm.
Crazy.
Because you got to respect the run game now.
Yeah.
You got to respect the run game. You got to look at how that helped Lamar Jackson evolve. Bringing in Derrick Henry last year, it helped Lamar Jackson be so much of a better passer, right? Not to say that James Cook could make Josh Allen be a better passer, but it makes it a lot easier for sure. Especially if Allen, you're throwing with a, your receivers one-on-one. So now it's Brady's job to be more creative in the passing game to get those guys open, because now you're kind of basic offensively, and defenses know what routes they're running. Yeah. And that, if that make any sense, like, it's hard to get open if I know what you're running. If I know you're running post, I don't care who you are. You could be Tyreek Hill. I know you're running post. I'm going to stay over the top of you and wait for you to break, and then I'm going to get more attached to you, right? By that time, you should be under duress because he's not open. You know what I mean? Right. And that's the thing that people are looking at when you look at the receivers. They're not getting open. You got to scheme those guys open. All right, you got Elijah Moore, 4.2, 4.3 speed. Curtis Samuel, 4.3 speed. We got speed burners, and I know everybody wants to get the receiver. But if we get Rashid and all of a sudden he's not getting open, is it Rashid's fault?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, we brought Joshua Palmer in there because he can get the separation and run the routes. Is he running? Is he getting separation?
Not
we talking about Keon Coleman. We talking about Keon Coleman. We know he can't get separation. That's not his strong suit. Right. But we expecting him to do it, right? He's getting ridiculed over something that's not his strong suit. You know what I mean? So Brady has to do a better job of doing that. But I thought he did his first time of really having a real true balanced attack. How can you get James Cook anywhere between 120 and 150 yards and Josh Allen anywhere between 250 or 300? He got a good mix to that. Very efficient as well, but still got too cute. Got too cute. 4th and 2. What are we calling on 4th and 2? You up 7-zip early in the ball game. You want to go for it in midfield.
Right call to go for it, I think.
I mean, it's right call to go for it, but if we're going to go for it against Kansas City at midfield early in the game, timeout. Let me get my best play and my best players out there, because I'm having flashbacks now, because you talked about it. James Cook in that AFC Championship game, 13 carries, 85 yards, 3 catches, 50 yards, did not touch the ball no more until he had his miraculous leap in the end zone. 2.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Did not touch the ball. Wasn't even out there on in that last possession.
Ridiculous.
You had Ty Johnson out there.
Yeah.
At receiver, so I don't want to hear nothing about pass pro when Ty Johnson was at receiver in that situation. Spags probably looked at that and told the safety to blitz. They ain't throwing him the ball right there.
Right.
You think Ty Johnson's going to be your primary on 4th and 5 for the Super Bowl? Let's have common football sense. There's nothing taken away from Ty Johnson.
I know what you're saying, and I agree.
He's up against McDuffie. McDuffie is checking Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
Go.
I agree, man. You're 100% right.
You got to have James Cook out there, whether he's touching the ball or not. He's a decoy. Let him be a decoy. He poses a threat. He has to be accounted for. You did Spags a great job with him not being out there when the game was on the line. Yeah. And, I get everybody eats, but everybody can't eat when the game is on the line.
No.
So he did a good job of getting that balance. Hopefully that can continue. I want to see I want to see play action where can the fullback eat a little bit? Can the fullback get a little dump off that counter? Where the setup
He deserves it. He's blocking everybody, man. He's been really good.
So 4th and 2, you can't just be calling plays. You can't just be calling. Go with your best plays and have your best players out there.
And I watched the film of that play, too. And it was Ty Johnson and I don't remember the other receiver, but they were like running right next to each other. And then like Shakir got open, but it was too late, and the safety came up and he knocked the play down.
You see Bardinger's clip of that?
No.
They had like 3 spies on Josh Allen on that play.
Yeah, really?
So he couldn't. He tried to step up and run. It was like 3 guys came up, like that 4th and 5 play again. You're not going to make you run and beat us, Josh. It's not going to be the Jim Nantz play of the year again. You know what I mean? Spags is on top of that. So, they got to do better right there in that situation.
I'll point out, too, that James Cook has run for 100 yards 6 times already this year. And the Bills are 6-0, by the way, when James Cook runs for 100 yards.
You think?
That kind of matters. I'll give you a quick take, and I know this keeps coming back to the Chiefs, but you know what? We just played the Chiefs, so I'll keep it with the Chiefs. I have felt like over the last 4 years, the Bills losing in the playoffs. Let's just say Mahomes and Josh have kind of played to a draw. They've both played really, really good. To me, the difference is the complementary or other star players on the Chiefs. Kelsey, Chris Jones, when Tyreek was there, Tyreek Hill, their best, McDuffie, these best players play like stars in these games. The Bills' complementary second-level stars like Ed Oliver, Greg Rizzo, Stephon Diggs when he was here at times. They didn't play on that same level. Like, they got outplayed by the other stars. So now to see somebody like James Cook, who I feel confident in could be that star, who can outplay whoever it is on the Chiefs. And Dalton Kincaid, we'll talk about him, 6 catches for 101 yards.
Yeah.
He's been over 100 yards now, 2 of the last 3 games he's played. These star players stepping up I think is what's going to put Buffalo, if they get a chance to beat Kansas City in January. That's going to be the difference.
Yeah.
Josh is going to play well. Mahomes ain't going 15 for 34 again. Okay, I promise you that. I'd be stunned if he does. It's going to be, can James Cook make plays? Can Dalton Kincaid get open and make plays? Can Keon Coleman make a play? That's what it's going to come to. Can Max Hairston make a big play? It's going to come down to the other guys. And I feel like in years past, the other players on the Chiefs have played better than the other players on the Bills, and that's been the difference. How about Dalton Kincaid? Because he's becoming again. We keep saying what we hoped he would be. Well, he's becoming what we hoped he would be. Because he's becoming a weapon, man.
Yeah, he's becoming a weapon, but he just got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's the only thing with him. He stays healthy. He's definitely an ultimate piece. They didn't draft him in the first round for him not to be a key piece to this offense, right? So it's good to see. That dividend is paying off, and they're able to use that. But it's more tight end oriented. The Bills' passing game is tight end and slot oriented. They got to get the right receivers involved. And once Brady figure out getting the wide receivers involved, it's definitely going to help Shakir. It's definitely going to help Kincaid. But right now, you got to love what you're seeing, with Kincaid and the matchups that, Brady is putting them in, and he's doing a good job of getting open. So, we love the consistency. You got to have that consistency. And in time, you'll get the receivers going. You know what I mean? But right now, you got to get your star players like you mentioned. You got to get your dogs involved, right? Feed your dogs first.
Do you get, like Elijah Moore made a really nice play, a nice catch, and he's had a couple big plays this year, actually, for the Bills. But does it annoy you at how inconsistent it is? And that's not necessarily saying that Elijah Moore is inconsistent. It's the play calls, the schemes. It's a combination of all that. Like, why don't we see more of that? Like, Elijah Moore is a player who's done some good things. Curtis Samuel, who just cannot get going for the life of him. He's got 1 catch for 6 yards in 2 games since the bye coming back. I really thought during the bye week that he was going to become a focus. Like, I like this guy when he's healthy. He's got speed. And I'll give him credit for one thing that doesn't show up in the stat box, too. On that 47-yarder to Kincaid, 3 guys went deep. Samuel went deep. 3 Chiefs players went with him. And Kincaid beat that guy and caught it and ran for 47 yards. But anyway, whatever. He's not doing anything in terms of production. Elijah Moore's been spotty. I don't know what I should be mad at. Should I be mad at the player? Should I be mad at Joe Brady? Should I be mad at the circumstance? Should I just say, you know what, they're running the ball effectively, so who cares? I don't know how I'm supposed to feel right now about those receivers.
Well, offense is kind of a little different than defense because you gotta be creative enough to get everybody involved. Everybody can't eat if you're not creative to get everybody involved, and I think that's kind of like Brady's struggle, right? You got the weapons. You just mentioned it. You got Curtis Samuel with the speed. You got Elijah Moore with the speed. You got Keon Coleman with the athleticism. You got Dalton Kincaid, who's just, one hell of a big slot receiver, right, at tight end. And you got Joshua Palmer, who has that separation and the size, right? So you have all these different types of weapons but you got to be creative in your play design to get them open and to, they have everybody got to have a play. Me as a coach, I coach, and I got a lot of dogs, right? Because, hey, if you want the guys, you got to get them involved, right? Everybody has their play, right? Yeah. So this is your play, this is your play, this is your play. But every play sets up the other play. So everybody has to do their job so everybody can eat, right? But you know that this is your play, Keon Coleman. When we get inside this red zone, we're going to play action fake. We're going to isolate you one-on-one. We're going to let you be you, right? Palmer the same way. You got to let these guys be themselves because the only thing it's going to do is help build their confidence, and it's going to pay big dividends to the team because you're playing them to their strong suits with great play design and creativity with an MVP quarterback in Josh Allen.
Let's get to, and I want to be careful, and I'm also keeping my eyes here on a live Twitter, feed here to see if anything is going on. I hope, no, that's got to be a fake. Never mind. I was going to say Jeffrey Simmons to the Patriots. Please tell me that's not the case. And it's not. At least not right now. Anyway, I need to be careful because I don't want this to become a prediction segment because by the time most people listen to this, not most people, but at least some people listen to this, the answer might already be done because the trade deadline is Tuesday at 4 p.m. As of this recording, which right now we're close to 9 o'clock on Monday night, the Bills have not made a trade. They did move money around with Teron Johnson so that they do have the opportunity to make a trade right now. This is a team we've been talking about receiver forever. Shakir's role is defined. We know what he is. Keon Coleman, you want to see more from him. I can't get as mad at the players. I just don't think he's the fit for what they're doing right now. I mean, week after week, he can be. He has 8 catches for $114 in week 1. It's no accident. He's a good football player.
Yes.
But he's not. It's not working. Let's just say that. Let's agree on that. It's not working when you have 2 catches for 17 yards, 2 catches for 23 yards, 3 catches for 29 yards, week after week after week.
Yeah.
At some point, it's not working. By the way, reminds us a lot of Gabe Davis. Big game Gabe, 100 yards or nothing. He played 7 games in 2023 under Dorsey. 4 of those 7 games, he didn't have a catch.
Right.
So it kind of the parallels are really there right now. It's like boom or bust. But anyway, I like Josh Palmer a lot, but he's been hurt. He's been banged up, and he's just not consistent. Curtis Samuel, I just don't.
Same way.
Same thing, man. And Elijah Moore has just been, good or bad, I don't know.
To me, I think he's just contractually not obligated. When you look at where they're spending their money at, you got first-round draft pick in Kincaid. He has to get a number amount of targets. You just spend $13, $14 million on Khalil Shakir. He has to get a certain amount of targets. You spending $12.5 million on Palmer. You figured that he would get some bulk of the targets. That hasn't happened, right?
It feels like he was getting ready to in that Atlanta game. He had that 45-yard catch. He had 2 for 60, and then he got hurt. Here's what I'll ask you that we could frame that whether they make the trade or not. How will you feel come 4 o'clock on Tuesday if the Bills don't add a wide receiver? If Brandon Beane, and I can't imagine, although, again, the offense looked good on Sunday, and it was against the Chiefs, and if he concludes that I like this room enough, we're fine. I just need Josh Palmer to get healthy, and we got to stay healthy, and they just don't make a move. How disappointed will you be if they don't make a move at wide receiver? I'm not going to ask you who you think they're going to get because that's got a 12-hour shelf life at most.
Well, in the words of Bean, I'm not going to sit here and be bitching about a wide receiver when we just made the Kansas City Chiefs, who's the standard of the AFC, look pretty damn basic. I just think that, what I just mentioned, the weapons that the Bills do have, and you do got Gabe Davis sitting in the wings, I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. Brady just had to be creative with the guys that he has.
You're not going to be disappointed if they do get one, but you're not losing sleep if they don't.
Right. I'm not losing sleep if they don't get a receiver. And again, if they do get a receiver, then he only get 1 catch for 17 yards. Would a trade and all that stuff be worth it?
Let's say, I can't help myself. Even though I said there's no shelf life and I didn't want to get into names, but let's just say for the fun of it, I refuse to say Jalen Waddle because Miami's not doing that.
Yeah.
But let's just say they get Olave or Rasheed from New Orleans or Myers, a guy that's significant. Let's say they bring in somebody. Who does that come at the expense of? It's not coming at the expense of Kincaid or Shakir, I can tell you that. Keon Coleman, who you're already struggling to get production with as it is, your second-round pick, does he go down in the pecking order? Does Keon Coleman suddenly become Tyrell Shavers? Is Tyrell Shavers now on the outside looking in terms of being able to play right now?
Yeah.
It's like you bring in somebody, I mean, somebody's got to go.
Yeah, somebody got to go. I mean, would it be Shavers? I mean, when you look at certain trades, especially at that position, do the money match. Like, who do we got the money match? You got Keon Coleman on a rookie deal. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the Bills will be trying to move Keon Coleman right now, especially he's getting all he's getting all the slack on whatever's happening in the receiving game. So I don't think he holds any trade value right now. Curtis Samuel, to me, would probably hold the best value because he is a dynamic piece. He's getting paid close to $7 million this year.
$8 million, yeah.
So he's somewhere already halfway there, this year.
Yeah.
So the money can match up. If you're going to get a Olave or a Rashid, that money kind of matches each other, and then his contract kind of washes out next season. Mm-hmm. So it could be a one-year rental for both parties, more or less.
Right.
Olave, you get an extra year because he's still in his rookie deal. But, I would say if you were to move a receiver, it would probably be Samuel because he don't hurt you from where you are offensively. He's not really implemented to the point where the production is going to be missed, if that makes any sense.
Good point. Last Bills thing here. Does defensive tackle, in light of Michael Hoyt being lost for the season, now I know he's an edge, but he was lining up a lot as an interior pass rusher. Do you feel like with all the injuries that defensive tackle is a bigger priority right now than wide receiver? You look at this room. We were talking about this over our wings here. And again, Imperial wings, man, they were the bomb. I told you, I said in training camp, I'm like, I don't know if Larry Ogunjobi's going to see a snap because you have DeQuan and Ed as your starters. You got two rookies that you moved up for in both rounds in TJ Sanders and Deion Walker. You got Dwayne Walker, your third round, or Dwayne Carter, your third round pick from last year going into year 2. Mm-hmm. There's 5 right there. Ogunjobi 6. And if everyone stays healthy, I don't know that he plays after his 6-game suspension. Man. Now all of a sudden he becomes critically important. You got Walker and you got Ogunjobi, and that's it. Now you're bringing up guys from the practice squad. Now DeQuan is going to start practicing this week. He'll be back in a week or two. I think they said TJ Sanders will be back in a couple weeks. Are you trusting that though? Are you? Ed Oliver's done for the regular season. I hope he's back for the playoffs. We'll see. Hoyt's done. Do you got to go get an interior pass rusher? Is that a bigger priority to you right now as we speak than wide receiver?
I would say no, but we got to get somebody that matches because Hoyt comes off the edge as well, and he's 6'4", 310 with a motor. It kind of reminds me of Colin Williams, really, with that motor. So that's what we're going to miss, that high-energy motor, pushing the pocket. We don't have a guy that can do that. I mean, they brought in Solomon. Is he able? Yes, but he's a little light. Up front when you're dealing with bigger guys, he's not going to win too many battles. So you will hope TJ Sanders can come and blossom.
He had a slow start before he got hurt. Right. To be honest, I thought.
I'm from a land where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I like what these Bills got rotationally right now. I even like Mathis being brought up. Maybe
he played good yesterday.
Yeah, he played solid. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep this defensive rotation what it is. I get you got Daquan Jones and TJ Sanders. I don't know. Let's see what this kid from Maryland that they brought on the practice squad, what could he do?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I don't know. I'll say, hey, I'll make a trade.
So what did this
I'll make a trade. Go get Davian Clowney or somebody or something. Go get a seasoned guy that can push the pocket a little bit for you. And it won't cost you anything.
So to put a wrap on this, and again, by the time people listen to this, they might have made a trade already. But if they don't make a trade, I think you're going to see a lot of frustrated fans. I think you're going to see some frustrated content creators and maybe even some frustrated media for that matter as well. But it sounds to me like you're not going to be one of them that's going to be overly frustrated.
I'm not bitching about receiver being, all right? You're hearing it first right here in Imperial Pizza with my guy Pat. I ain't bitching.
All right, before we get out of here real quick, outside of football, man, radio life, political life, football, long-time football coach, man, what's life like for you, man, outside of the Buffalo Bills and covering this wonderful team that we talk about?
I need a clone.
Yeah.
That's what I need. I need a clone. There ain't enough hours in the day, but, it keeps me moving. It keeps me going. Keeps me sane. So I've been doing it all my life. I've been coaching football for over 35 years.
Got a passion for it.
Yeah, I got a passion for it. I done coached some pros out here that won Super Bowl rings and stuff like that. So, I got a passion for it to help kids live their gift a little bit. So I've been coaching youth league in high school for over 35 years. Just started coaching on a modified program. Shout out to, BPS, Buffalo Athletics, on the first modified program. We 6-0-1 undefeated season. We tied Orchard Park. They official tissue out there in OP. So shout out to those guys. They definitely was a worthy opponent at all high. So good competition. And then I also coach at Health Science right now. And we're in the state. And we're in the semifinals this week versus Williamsville East. So if we win that, we get a chance to play at the Ralph one last time.
Nice, man. Nice.
So, then the political side, yes, I'm running for school board. So I get an opportunity to make some changes there. So make sure, if you're living in the Central District, please vote Hawkins, okay? Please vote Hawkins. Let's try to make some change and make a difference with these kids.
Make that a hashtag on Twitter, too. Please vote Hawkins, man. This was a lot of fun. This was a good conversation. I want to thank one more time Imperial Pizza here, 1035 Abbott Road, for being a great host. Thank all of you who've tuned in live. We're almost at 2,700 people on a Monday night, man.
Yeah, man. You gotta,
9 o'clock. That is absolutely awesome.
Appreciate the fan base, man. Shout out to my guy Justice the General who's here, my guy Big Lynn somewhere around here. But, yeah, man, we appreciate the fan base for tuning in.
Appreciate you, Muki.
My guy.
All right, guys, thank you very much. I'll be back with a brand new episode. Matt Warren from SB Nation joins me tomorrow. Talk to you guys then.